War. Islamic extremism. Europe on the brink. Even pirates now. Closer to home, Mexico isn't safe for vacations or our kids anymore. 6,000 were killed or beheaded on our border just last year. And Phoenix now has the second highest rate of kidnapping in the world. Our companies face new union mandates, a global cap and trade, and the second highest corporate tax rate in the world. All the while, politicians wonder why jobs are going overseas. And yet on the other side, some global corporations only see America as a market and you as a consumer. Meanwhile, over 4 million friends and neighbors have lost their jobs in the last 4 months alone. Names that we always thought described American strength have stocks that are now worth less than a Frappuccino. And we're all told they're just too big to fail. Yet 70% of all jobs are created by the small businessman, and nobody seems to even notice him. What happened to the country that loved the underdog and stood up for the little guy? What happened to the voice of the forgotten man? USA! The forgotten man is you. The voice that no one seems to hear, just quietly saying, enforce the law. Take responsibility for yourself. You can't have it all, and anybody who promised you that was a liar.
The current economic downturn.
Worst economic crisis. Worst month of job loss.
But something is happening in America. A paradigm is about to change. Your friends and neighbors, Republicans, Democrats, Independents, they're all beginning to wake up and wonder, how did this happen to us? 19 men lay awake all night in preparation. On September 10th, Americans were playing politics, and they had chosen to bury their heads in the sand and ignore the coming threat. I remember how picture perfect the day was. There wasn't a cloud in the sky, and America seemed invincible. And yet, in the blink of an eye,
that airplane appeared to hit a little bit down the building around the 50th or 60th floor. Again, it struck flush.
Our skies were filled with black clouds, and our hearts were full of terror and fear.
Absolute disaster.
We realized for the first time how fragile we really were. Then, something happened. We came together, and we promised ourselves that we would never forget. On September 12th, and for a short time after that, we really promised ourselves that we would focus on the things that were important. Our family, our friends, the eternal principles that allowed America to become the world's beacon of freedom.
I can hear you, the rest of the world hears you, and the people who knock these buildings down will hear all of us soon.
So once again, America has a choice. Tonight, we can choose to be the Americans of September 10th with our heads buried in the sand. We could be the Americans of September 11th who were unprepared and then paralyzed by fear, despair, or anger. Or we could choose to renew the promise that we all made to ourselves. By the end of this hour, you will be asked once again, choose. Will you commit yourself to really live America's time-tested values and principles? Will you, with fierce determination and malice towards none, be a watchman at the gate to alert those still asleep to rise up and be America's next greatest generation? You know, many in Washington, left and right, want to convince you that they're the solution. I happen to believe that them being the solution is the problem. The system has been perverted and it has to be restored. Those who screwed up must be allowed to fail. Those who broke the law must go to jail. And those who have played by the rules need to be left alone to rebuild our nation. The answers have never come from Washington. We weren't told how to behave that day after 9/11. We just knew it was right. It was the opposite of what we feel today. Let us find ourselves and our solutions together again with the 9 founding principles and the 12 eternal values. This is the 9/12 Project.